child nutrition reauthorization. We've done a postcard campaign in the western region of the U.S., and Arizona participated. We sent close to 800 to 1,000 messages to our congressional members. But we have some members that just ain't there. That's being kind, I guess. And can you help us know how some people have motivated those more conservative members to be engaged?
That's a hard one, because in this climate there is some hesitancy to quote-unquote expand programs. Oftentimes what we do is we reach out to groups that have relationships with members already. So for instance, a few years ago when we were trying to get Mike Castle, who's a congressman from Delaware, to support us on an issue, we did a little research and found out that his big issue was teen pregnancy prevention. And so I was not the lead group going into that meeting. It was the National Campaign Against Teen Pregnancy that took the lead in that meeting, and we brought other groups into that meeting, again, just trying to think of which groups would make an impression on him, and that's how we did that. Oftentimes I'll lobby with Catholic Charities or the Bishops' Conference because they have access to some members that I don't have access to. I remember Rick Santorum, when he was in the Senate, worked very closely with the Bishops' Conference. We also work with the American Academy of Pediatrics, which is another great group to go through, because if you can go into a meeting in your district with a member, and sometimes we get a little clever and we try to get the congressman's pediatrician for his or her kids to get the meeting for us. We've done this with ministers, priests, and rabbis. We've had them make the appointment, and then we go along with them on the call. So this takes a little bit of research. You need to find out what groups have access to your member of Congress. We oftentimes go to the Federal Election Commission website and find out who contributes to the member's campaign and go through that resource as well. I know a lot of food banks have Kiwanis, Rotary, other groups on their boards of directors, industry people. So that's another way to go to reach out to some of these people. Saxby Chambliss is a pretty conservative member from Georgia who serves on the Senate Ag Committee. He's our ranking member. And his wife and his daughter are both school teachers. And that has been an unbelievable resource for us, because whenever we talk about things, we always bring it back to the school. And that's something that just he gets. So we don't try to talk big picture. We just try to talk about, in the classroom, the teacher, and the relationship between the child and the teacher. And that's something that he gets right away. So it's a little bit of research, but we'd be happy to help in any way we can to sort of steer you in the right direction. Yes. Do you have to... Is it an on and off? Is it?
Thank you. No, it works. So I'm Deborah Emanuel from the Verde Food Council, and one of the things that we're looking to do is to work with community members to teach them how to do their own backyard gardens. And as important it is to expand all of the emergency food programs that we've been talking about, I haven't seen much money available to expand education around gardening, around good nutritious choices, and I'm wondering if there are any bills that might provide revenue for that.
There's a bunch of provisions in the Senate Agriculture Committee passed bill that provides pots of money that will be competitively bid on, and states or localities can draw down on that. And that, I know in the Senate there's a $40 million pot of money that's available for just a variety of anti-hunger type activities. And so the thought was, rather than having 20 different tiny little programs getting funded in the bill, they would just put together a large pot of money and let local groups bid, compete for those resources. So there are pots of money in the bill that are pretty broad in terms of what you can do with the funding. So you should take a look at that. It's in your packet. We have the highlights of it. It doesn't have a bill number yet. It's the Senate Agriculture Committee passed Child Nutrition Reauthorization Bill. And there's a lot of emphasis also on feeding children in out-of-school time programs. And was mentioned earlier, weekends. Many teachers report when kids come back to school on Monday, they're pretty hungry. And I know back east where I live, schools were closed for 10 days due to snow, and it piggybacked on their winter recess. So there were weeks when kids weren't getting fed because schools were closed, and the community-based organizations had a hard time opening up and feeding the kids. So we've got to do a better job at feeding kids not only when disasters strike, but every weekend when school is out. Other comments? Questions? Hearing none? Thank you so much, and I really appreciate being here today with you.